my Instagram. Yes, sir.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I see people logging in right now on Zoom.
Yeah.
You guys are welcome. Winnie Mlay, PCI Finance. Is that Tanzania, Tanga? I don't know. But thank you very much for being here, guys. We really appreciate. Yeah, so tonight is that night. We tried to do this last week, but things did not work out well. So we are lucky enough to be able to do this tonight. And in a few moments from now, we're going to get started. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy. I'm so excited, delighted. And I know tonight is that night where we shall learn so much, you know. Yeah, we don't have a lot of time. So I think maybe I should just dive right in and do the introductions and then we get started. Okay, just to be sure that Instagram is okay. Yep. And Facebook is fine and Zoom is okay. All right, just.
Sorry for moving.
All right. So I'm going to do a rough introduction. It may not be very official, very, but I'm going to make sure that it does suffice.
Oh, God.
All right, so let me get started. A very warm good evening to all of you guys joining in tonight. This is another episode of Wednesday Wisdom. My name is James Mwang'amba, and I'm here tonight with a very, very special guest. She has been named one of Africa's movers and shakers by the Times of London. She has written 8 books, both career-wise and business-wise. She has placed nearly 200 executives or leaders in different organizations. Talk about talent and the ability to select. She has also spoken to nearly 20 million people across the globe. She's on a mission to equipping, or rather to developing about 100 million leaders. Wow, what a goal. And she's an amazing leadership executive coach, business consultant, and a family lady married to Mr. Mbuguni. They now live in the United States, but they work globally. So this is none other than Modesta Lillian Mahiga. And of course, if my introduction didn't do her enough justice, I know she will add up to that a little bit. Hi, Modesta.
Hi, James. Thank you so very much for the introduction and for the invitation for the Wednesday Wisdom session. I look forward to this. You said it's conversational, James. I've been up since 3 a.m. If you do not engage me in conversation, I might lose it. So I'm not going to overly prepare, overly get nervous.
No problem.
Stay awake and just respond to whatever it is that you do.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to start by thanking you for accepting this invitation. Based on the way how we were trying to get connected, it was apparently clear that you are a very busy person at the current moment, with all types of engagement. So I had to get lucky to get this appointment. So thank you very much for accepting this. I am grateful.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so guys on Instagram, you're most welcome. I know there are people that are joining in right now from Zoom, from Facebook, asanteni sana. So Modesta, let's begin. And let's begin anywhere where we can begin. Where did this drive to develop leaders come from? Like, when did you get to say, I think this is it. This is something that I should be doing. This is something that my life should be about. When did that actually happen?
I think if I were to trace back where developing others came in, because I've always been in leadership since I was a little girl, school, and I mean, almost in every context, at home, even if I'm the 4th of 5, you know, like my mother entrusted me with a lot of responsibilities over our entire family. Developing others came from, I think my first job is when it really hit me. And I had finished university.
Yep.
I got an offer from this organization, which I turned down because I had debts to pay and I wanted to be paid more. They called me back, created a position for me. It was supposed to be a management trainee position, giving me 2 years to grow into, you know, management. I was 23 years old at the time. And I made mid-management in 1 year. And what I noticed is there was nothing exceptionally in my intellect that other people don't have, or experience. Actually, I was green, right? From school. What I noticed is there's certain Work skills, leadership skills, starting with self-leadership skills that many people don't have. And so it made me very uncomfortable. This organization has been in Tanzania since independence. And so you can imagine people have been there for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, some people, and they're being led by a 23-year-old girl, which in our context is a little girl, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I had to be sensitive to the fact that it's only by God's grace that I got the grounding, the foundation in upbringing, in education, in exposure, that I am able to, at 23, be a leader over, it was 700 and something people and their families, because their families were very much part of the employer relations. I was a recruitment employer relations manager. So then I realized that there was no way I could go anywhere as a Tanzanian. So my patriotism is just like the Lord has wired that on me. There's no way I can go anywhere if we are not going together as a people. Right. So I may not have thought it as clearly and articulated it then, but I knew you cannot be a little 23-year-old swiveling in your chair in this AC office, earning whatever it is you're earning, doing well, and be comfortable with that. When you have to say shikamo to everybody you're working for, when you have to apologize profusely to an old man that now has to be retrenched, that only knows this organization for 40 years, there had to be more of us. Okay. So that's when leadership, and grooming people for leadership, not just me leading, because I've been leading always, not always well, and I've grown in that, and I'm still growing, but the leadership of others, so as to empower others for leadership, started then. But recently, why leaders and not why entry level? Why am I focusing on leaders? Because before it was really just Tanzanians, it was a thing. Why am I focusing on African leaders right now? Because I realize the power of leadership. Leaders have access to people I would never meet. Leaders can make or break the people and the environment they're in. You want to make any transformation, start with the leaders. Equip the leaders. Equip them to do well, and you're going to more or less guarantee everybody in their sphere of influence does well. But when you go to each individual, you need to be conscious of how much influence do they have. If they're under. So to me, I thought it was very strategic that get to the leaders, Modesta. If you're going to use your life to making a difference, you're going to have to equip leaders. They're in the most sensitive, the most critical positions to have widespread difference, widespread transformation. So that's where that came from.
Amazing. And just before we proceed any further, I'm just wondering, is it possible for you to join on Instagram Live on my feed, or it's not basically possible?
Yeah, like, why am I on my own Instagram? Guys, I love you, but I'm leaving you. I'm going to take you. Bye. You can join us there. So, James.
I forgot. I don't know what happened. So until I realized, a lot of people are wondering, like, we can't see her. We can't see her. So could you request to join live, and then I'll see you and accept you. Yeah. So you need to log out where you are, and I apologize to all your people following you.
Please follow James Mwang'amba right now. Go to Coach James. Are you Coach James or James?
James Mwang'amba. Just James Mwang'amba.
James
Mwang'amba.
Okay. Mwang'amba. James Mwang'amba. Go there. That's where I'm going right now. Bye.
Okay. So you're welcome here, and let me add you on. Let me link you up as soon as I see your request.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. Meanwhile, Jamal on Facebook, thank you very much, all the way from the US. Jamal, I worked with Jamal so long ago.
Oh, wow. There you are, James. So what am I doing? You're on
just
live.
Request to go live.
And I
should see you when you do that. Yeah, request to go live with me. And I'll accept, and then, I see you right now.
Modesta, the only thing that says here,
Modesta, I've seen Modesta Africa, so let me try
The
to
first thing it
invite
says
you.
reports. I only saw reports, and then I figured I shouldn't report.
Go live with Modesta. So in a minute, you're going to be live with me on Instagram.
Oh, good. We're
In
so old.
just a minute.
We need the
I
pendulum.
know. I always like to talk about how bad I was at mathematics at school, but I just had to do it, you know, and such is the case. All right, so there's some noises on the background. Yeah, I don't know where that would be. Okay, I don't know.
Because it's too loud.
Okay, I think it's okay now. Can you hear me both on, you should be able to hear me on both devices.
I do.
On both, right? Amazing. Now the people on Instagram are going to be so happy because they got the introduction, but they didn't get to see the person.
Hi, guys. Oh, so let me say, oops, somebody's calling.
All right.
Hey, everybody. I guess we don't need, oh, you did? You've already done the introduction, so.
I did, but you can.
James,
yeah.
please continue.
All right, okay. All right, so Modesta,
he's stuck. But I'm here, guys. Oh, this is so interesting. I'll wait for him to come back on.
But you were able to discover that pretty much, I would say, early on. What's
back.
your quick advice for somebody who's wondering about their purpose? I know we're going a little bit off tangent, but just to help anybody that's here and they're wondering, you know, oh, Modesta, she was lucky. For her, she figured things out early on. What am I to do to discover like who I am on this planet Earth?
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. Actually, that is the question of life. There's a quote from Mark Twain. He was a famous British writer and several other things. And he said, the two most important days in life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. Right. Nobody showed up here to waste oxygen. Nobody showed up here to just tag along with somebody else. Every single person, by virtue of the fact that you got here, it's not a mistake. It's not an afterthought. You're not here, even if you're like number 14 of 14 children. Like, you came here because God has a plan, has a purpose for you. And without going too spiritual, just people are like, hey, she started, because I do, like, I can just go off on that tangent. Without going too spiritual, this is how you tend to start taking notice of what your purpose is. You notice that there are certain things you feel strongly about. Either you feel strongly in a positive way, you tend to gravitate towards conversations that are related to this topic. You want to hang out with people that are, involved in this area. You find that you don't even notice the time go by when you engage in these things. Like, you feel like, I'm in my zone, I'm in my element. And on the other polar end is the things that get you absolutely enraged. The types of things either you experienced or other people experienced in life, and you're thinking, if I could, I am going to address this thing. Sometimes people are like, oh, if I were in a position of power, or, they're doing this now, I would do this differently. Or you're saying, I'm going to, save up my money and I'm going to be, spending it towards this cause. Or whenever you hear of a certain thing, it doesn't have to be an injustice, but it's, right. I mean, there are people who would get put off by my wig. I'd be like, what the, man, so maybe this person's thing is like beauty and how you present. It's like, oh no, she's doing it all wrong. Look at her eyebrows. And she or he is meant to be in this industry, and maybe they'll have great brands and lines, and so it doesn't necessarily always have to be a human rights, a justice thing, and injustice. It doesn't have to be the very serious issues of life and meaning. It could really just be the thing that ticks you. So there are people who just want to bring solutions in the business place. There are people who feel that the way things are done has been the same old, and there must be a better way. And I can imagine there's some context in the work context where we find them annoying. Like, it's not broken. What's your issue? Like I was basically blowing my top with you, James, in our conversations. I'm like, why can't you be good? You know, and because that's my thing. We must be people of purpose. You guys, you know, I won't tell you guys a backstory, but I'm watching myself. I'm like, that's a whole thing to you, Modesta. Like that's a whole, and it is to me because I'm wired that way. I am wired to equip leaders to live out their purposes and do it with excellence. So you will find already your life will give you clues as to who you are and why you're here. The things that you tend to find yourself being taken, emotionally taken by, either positively or negatively. Listen to those clues. They tend to point towards purpose.
Amazing. I think over the years, there was a time I heard this, I'm getting double sounds and I don't know how to control this, quite frankly. I mean, it's like both. Yeah, I have the mobile phone and the laptop that I'm using for Zoom.
Are they on different platforms?
Yeah, I mean, like they're pretty close to each other. So I wonder what to do with it.
I was thinking maybe if you're on Instagram on both or on
Instagram is independently alone, and then I have Zoom and Facebook all happening at the same time. So I need to let me try and mute one. All right, let me do this. All right, I guess that's okay. Can you hear me now?
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Bingo. Okay.
But that's because your Instagram is frozen.
Say that again.
Your Instagram froze. So when you're on Instagram and Facebook and Zoom, that's when you hear that sound.
Oh, okay. It's
fine. You're good.
So it's fine now. I think we're okay. So yeah, I remember hearing one of the greatest leaders of all time, a very well-known leadership consultant, talking about what he called holy anger. He called this holy anger. Yeah. When you see something that's not being done right, there's this anger that, you know, sort of rises within you, kind of like pushing you to basically do something about that. Yeah. And he called that the holy anger. I truly love the idea. And I guess that's what you're talking. It could be in a positive way or in negative form, but it all pushes you to do something.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So, Modesta, let's go back to leadership right now. Now, and I know here we're talking about COVID ending. So first of all, I don't even know if that expression can sit well with you guys in America and elsewhere. So I don't even know how you're going to look at this, because over here, COVID is over and out, but in America, I see the numbers rising. So if there are young guys listening right now and they're wondering, how do I become a great leader now that COVID is over or is still going on? What are some of the tools or skills that I need to have to be able to lead more successfully? What would you say about that?
So good. And thank you for, you know, making the reference to COVID. Know that I'm going to talk about COVID, but I'm going to talk about the significance of COVID, right? Like what did it mean? What has it meant? What has it done? And how can that be a lesson for us in leadership? Yeah. I know there's also sound back here. Bear with us, guys. So what COVID has said, has meant, is you can plan, but life will happen. It doesn't then mean, you know, you call yourself out of leadership. It doesn't mean you resign. It doesn't mean you stop. Life happens at the household level that you didn't expect. You know, being on this earth means things will show up. However, just because there are uncertainties in life doesn't mean that, well, then we just get swept by however life goes. That would be a terrible way of living. I mean, even birds prepare, you know, for the change of season. Even animals know when floods are coming. I mean, everything is wired to adapt. So what lessons we can take from COVID as a leader, as a young leader that's looking to lead post-COVID, is understand that leadership will require you to be an adaptable person, to be a resilient person. Um, I remember reading a book, and I used to speak about this book a lot. It's called Switch: How to
Yeah.
Change Things When Change is Hard, written
Right.
by Dan and Chief Heath, their brothers. And one lesson, so this was case studies of stories of people really achieving great feats in completely adverse, like terrible circumstances, right? That nobody expected
Yeah.
that they would be able to deliver. And one of the stories that stays in my mind is, I don't know if it was an engineering type of setting, but a manager that told his team to factor in failure
Yeah.
because life has ups and downs. And what happened before, they thought of factoring failure as part of life, as part of the engineering process, as part of learning, innovating, growing. Before he really, got them to understand that and to incorporate that in their thinking and doing, people would be really affected. They would be downcast when things didn't go well. Like they felt like
Yeah.
that is a reflection of their identity. That is a reflection of their capacity. That they took it personally and they took it hard, and that made it all the more difficult for them to innovate because they didn't want to touch just in case it doesn't go well. What if something goes
Right.
wrong? And it took longer for them, to be creative, to get things rolling, learn from their mistakes, and move on. Now, when he said, "I, as your leader, am saying factor in failure. It will happen. It's life." They then removed the emotion from it, expected it, and even planned ahead with what if this were to happen, then this will be our default plan, or this will be how we would handle it. And so it is key to see COVID as, and COVID has taken lives. So I'm not going to make small of it. I'm not going to be all sterile and removed from it. It's done what it's done, and it's changed everything.
Right.
But
Yeah.
what it represents is the fact that there are times as you're going along with your plans as a business owner, as a leader in an organization, that things may not always go as you expect. What do you do then? I completely believe, and when I coach, I often, you hear me say, choose in advance. Choose in advance your non-negotiable values. Choose in advance, what you're going to negotiate when you get to that table on that contract. Choose in advance your parameters. Choose in advance even your responses in emotional intelligence and conversations.
Right.
Choose in advance, no matter what you say, no matter what comes, this is how I'm going to be. And when you when you choose in advance, you don't get caught by surprise when a thing comes at you. Right?
Yeah.
And so I think
Absolutely.
what you will really, what you can get out of this as a leader who's asking, what does leadership look like after COVID, is that there will be situations we may not be able to predict, but as a leader, you can choose in advance how you're going to respond, but also live expecting that things won't always go. I'm not saying expecting like being negative. I just mean understand that life will throw you a curveball. Like something could happen you didn't expect. So rather than just choose an advantage you're going to do then, you can anticipate, in a lot of settings, you'll hear people asking about looking at the risks, drawing a risk matrix, what are the kind of risks you can imagine going after this business or going after this process or this innovation. Where will it happen? What can we do about it? Can we mitigate and minimize those risks? Are we just going to have to go through them? Then what do we do? Do we need to send money to deal with it when it shows up? What is it that we need to do? So rather than just choose in advance how you're going to respond, should something happen, you can also anticipate in advance the kind of risks, the kind of things that may happen, although COVID wasn't exactly predictable, and lay down some of the frameworks for you and the people you're with to be able to handle that.
Absolutely right.
I think those two, are really key. So in terms of just as a leader, as a person, that preparation is key, so that you don't get swept away. But also look at what is exposed to the fact that we can work remotely. We can probably work with less people than we actually thought we needed to be there. We realize that people have greater flexibility than we thought. Maybe we had rigid structures we worked in, and right now they're fluid. And so it has what leadership looks like, not just of self, of others. And let's please take this time to pay attention and note down, what is it saying for me as a leader in my organization, in business, in society? Things have changed. To emerge on the other side of COVID, first of all, just a blessing of the Lord. But to emerge on the other side and you're still thinking as you did before, still operating as you did before, that is a disservice to others, and that is irresponsibility to you.
Incredible, amazing explanation. So the two big points that I'm getting there is, number one is adaptability. Excuse me. Being adaptable is really, really important. And then choosing to react. I think those are quite phenomenal ideas. One of my mentors here in Dar es Salaam is a gentleman who runs a logistics business and has employed about 150 people. So during COVID, one of the greatest temptations that he had was, do I lay down all of these people or do I keep them? And then secondly, if I keep them, do I pay them or not pay them? But he sat down and figured out that I best pay them. These people have been with me 20, 30 years, and they've been very instrumental in the running of my organization. So he decided to be paying them. He paid them for 3 months without any productivity on their part. And when I think about that, I mean, that is anticipatory leadership, which is what you're talking about. Being able to anticipate trouble and then to, take it in strides and just move on with whatever it is that you're supposed to do. So Modesta, how would you talk about somebody who, now I'm not a political fan or somebody who really follows up on, the political side of the story, but over here, a lot of people have collected forms and filled up forms wanting to become the members of parliament. What do you have to say to these people who believe that just because they've not been elected, that's the end of their leadership career or their political career? And you tie that up to these two factors that you just spoke about, being prepared as well as being adaptable.
Such a good question. Like, I feel like spreading out. How much time do I have on this question? Such a beautiful question, James, because one of the things whose heart is to lead, to make a difference, if they were a leader before somebody had to formally accept, appoint, elect them. You were a leader before. Actually, it should be the fact that you've had this track record of being in leadership, of volunteering, of wanting to make a difference, of having set up something and seeing it grow. I want to do it at scale. That is what brought you here, right? And I'm always speaking to those that truly were leaders before, not somebody who just saw the opportunity and says, vote for me, I will. I mean, anybody will say anything. It's like at an interview. At an interview, say anything, get that job. But this competency-based, questions which ask for evidence of past behavior, right? They want to know, have you always been about leadership? Or is this a thing you're saying right now because there's an opportunity to lead? Now, for the people who truly, whose hearts were in it, who have always served and wanted to do it at a certain scale, I want to say, whether you're elected or not, does not remove from your leadership one iota. I have found many people, I mean, just the story of Joseph in the Bible comes to mind, where even in prison, this man was a leader. But even in my context, when we moved, when I followed my husband for his studies, I was just traumatized. For lack of a better word, I'd always been active, I'd always been in leadership, I was always moving and shaking, right? And then right now, sitting there with 2 children in diapers, and you're just a black face in the sea of people. And when I came to ask myself, so I wallowed and I made, I had a tantrum. I had a proper wife tantrum. My husband is the most understanding human being. My life is good, and I was going places. Blah, blah. All right. So when I got over that, the disappointment of not being elected, the disappointment of not being in the position and on the trajectory you wanted, when I got over that, I said, Modesta, what are you made of? When nobody knows your name, when you don't have an organization, you don't have a platform, who are you? What do you do? What is in you to do? What is in your hand to do when things are adverse, when things are not going your way, when you're in a setup that you do not want, when you kind of wanted, this platform would give me that, open those doors, and I would do that. Well, that's not happening to you right now. You weren't elected. What does that mean? Well, you're going to ask yourself, what is in you? What is in you? I'm asking you, if you recently vied for a position and you weren't elected. Keep serving that faithfully. Keep showing up. I mean, I love the fact that people will be like, you've been doing this for 20 years. I'm like, yeah. I'm about the same story, the same thing, wherever you find me. Like, you can Google, you can call somebody personally, privately, publicly. Like, this is me. This is a cause. I didn't pick this up because there's money in it. I didn't pick this up because, although I'm also about the money, let me just make that clear. But this is me, right? And it's so important for you to understand you are the leader that vied for a platform. The platform doesn't make you a leader. Therefore, continue where you were all along and serve. And I say this with such conviction, that time will come, whether the same, similar, unrelated opportunity shows up. Why? Because you just continued in the business of what you were about all along. You cannot. If you have clarity of who you are and what it is that you want to do, and you continue serving it, there is no way on earth doors will stay closed for you. It is not possible unless you give up. It is impossible if you stay the course. Like, you just, but if you just stay the course, because it's in you, keep releasing what's in you out, it's only a matter of time.
Absolutely. You've reminded me, I was reading one of the papers today, and I saw a photo of a guy from Zanzibar who has been at this game since 1995. Wow. Like, each and every time election time comes around, and there are vacancies for people to go for member of parliament, this guy has been there since 1995. And this time again, he has tried again, and didn't win, but he has told people that he's going to go at it again in the next 5 years if he's still alive. So I guess that's the kind of persistence that you were talking about, right? Like, really, when you have something in you.
James, and that shows commitment.
Right.
The failures, the rejections, they test you to see if you really have resolve. If this thing is really, you're serious about this thing, because honestly, since 95 till now, you could do anything else. You could seriously choose to be about any other thing. The fact that this is still your thing, that's purpose. You must see something in this.
Right.
Because in that, what is that? How many years is that? How old was I? Like 95?
1995. I mean,
40, that was like 25 years ago.
2005.
25
15,
years.
That's already 25 years.
They must know why. You must have a strong why to do that. Otherwise, go branch off and do something else. And it will happen actually in life. Leadership will test you, whatever your thing is. Purpose, my Lord, will test you. Vision will test you.
Right.
And it will prove you when you're still about it, even when everything else looks like you shouldn't.
Right.
And some people will then say, let me take the hint. This isn't my thing. And not necessarily so. If you think, maybe this isn't my thing, you let go of it, you walk away, but you can't stop thinking about it. You can't stop strategizing about it. You can't stop going to conversations about it. No, you left prematurely. Stick at it. The opportunity will come. But the other thing about people like me, though, and you, James, we don't wait for people to come. We don't wait for the doors to be open. We don't wait. Like, one of the things I completely believe in is go get it. This thing is bothering you for 25 years. Whatever you are going to do, find other ways of doing that.
That's right.
Because something else I've learned about leadership is I don't have to be the face you see. If I don't get it, but the cause of why I wanted to be leader, right, is still strong in my heart, I can influence the leaders that are currently there. I can have conversations with them. I can help them. Leadership, purpose-driven leadership, also says it's about the objective. It's about the cause. So if I can meet that objective without being the face of it, let me meet that objective, which is why, James, I have no issues with anybody else succeeding around me in the very things I'm in. Why? The more the merrier. I want to take on an entire continent and the diaspora. How on earth am I, going to do that if there are not people that we can do it in communities? So if you didn't get that position, but you feel so strongly about the issues, find a way, and that is within leadership, to influence those that are there. Find a way of maybe another angle. Maybe it's on the political route. Maybe it's going to be business. Maybe it's going to be academia. Maybe it's going to be writing. Maybe it's going to be taking it out to the international level to maybe create a framework that can be used in your country, in your context. There's so many ways if you're really about the objective of that thing. But I wouldn't count myself out simply because, I lost an election.
Absolutely. Amazing.
That's not my political opinion. That is a leadership.
I know. And Modesta, you're using two devices and they're both probably producing some kind of sounds. Do you mind, like, if you would mute one of the devices, I guess? Are you getting the voices from both devices? Or is it only from one?
Let me just mute this.
Mute one. I guess that was the thing that was, because it's still there. Maybe you're right. So Modesta, let's talk about vision. First of all, I must confess that your vision is really exciting, to be honest. Really, really exciting. The vision to build or develop 100 million leaders, I mean, that's incredible. Whether or not that is done in your lifetime or over several lifetimes, but it's truly a gigantic vision.
Thank you.
How does one develop a leadership vision for themselves, especially after having tried quite a number of leadership opportunities or leadership endeavors, and things did not work out? I mean, like, surprise after surprise. Maybe before COVID, it was the economic hit. And then shortly after that is COVID. And then after that, maybe somebody tried politics. How does one create a long-term vision and then get the energy, or rather the persistence, to stay on that leadership path? What do you have to say on that, Modesta?
Such a good one. That sounds like an academic one.
And hold on a second. Somebody says it's on me. So I'm really trying to figure out, my people are getting disturbed here. People on Zoom, am I okay? Can you raise your hand if you're on Zoom with me? And I want to find out whether that's fine.
Instagram.
From Zoom, right? Oh, come on. All right. I get that.
We're fine.
What do I do with this? Start removing the headphones, okay? All right. So, okay, guys on Instagram, let me know. Can you clearly hear me now?
No, there's still sound, whatchamacallit, back.
All right. So, I wish I could tell everybody just move over to
Instagram.
Just move over to Zoom, but it wouldn't be so kind of me. Gosh.
Should I answer the question while you're figuring out your life?
Yeah, go ahead. Well, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Modesta, what I'm trying to figure out. Somebody says we can't hear, so.
Oh.
Okay, now check out your microphone on the telephone, on the mobile handset that takes over to Instagram.
Is this better now?
All right, can you guys hear Modesta now on Instagram? Anybody to comment? Okay.
I'm
Well,
fine.
so keep on while we're trying to figure out how to do with this or what to do with this.
You're trying to make me look bad, James. I'm completely fine on my end. Let me just answer my
Okay, I'm telling you, let's focus on Zoom, and I pray that things would just be fine on Instagram in a minute. I think Pendo is looking at that. So please go ahead with the question.
All right, what was the question? The question on leadership vision, right? So craft a leadership vision, and then how do you stay the course until you get there? Such a good question. Now I'm going to walk us from purpose to actually sustaining whatever it is you're doing in the sphere, you know, to the audience and in the place that you want to. Before, and you know, some people had not come in, we're talking about purpose being those things. What are you talking about? Holy anger, those things you feel strongly about, either strongly positively, like you cannot get your mind off of them. I'm thinking with you, business, success, coaching, James, like no matter where we lock you up, like you will you will have these things coming out of you over and over, right? So either positively or an anger about things you actually want to change. And like I said, it doesn't always have to be at the wider community or national level. It could be, it doesn't have to be political or social in nature. It can be anything at all. It can be economic, etc. If you're not clear about your purpose, please don't get hung up there. Don't feel like you're stuck. What is wrong with me? Why don't I know it? Some people get it with hindsight. Some people get it later, looking back at their lives, like, I just kept on, or sometimes even looking at your CV, you're like, I keep getting drawn towards things like this. Like, this seems to be my thing. Or if you ask, what do people know you for? What do people come to you for? You tend to get the same patterns repeating, you know, which points to purpose. But if you don't have that clear, you can start with thinking about the values, your non-negotiable, the things that you think, these are my standards, these are the principles, these are the things, I'm coming on the leadership vision. These are the things that I want to, I want to be associated with, I want to ground my life about. Now, looking to vision now, as a leader, how can I create a vision that I can actually walk until I see it to fruition? If you're not entirely clear about purpose, start looking at the things that you do get drawn towards and ask yourself what it is you want to do, for whom, why is always a good question. Why do you want to do this? Why do you feel they are particularly affected by this more than any others? Why do they seem to be particularly pained by this thing that you want to do for them, or they would benefit from this thing you want to do for them? And then ask yourself, what would it look like when I've done that successfully? And these are the questions of legacy. What would it look like when I have led and done what it is I'm supposed to do by these people, by these organizations, whatever your target audience is? It's not always natural, you know, humans. It could be organizations, it could be industries. What would it look like when I've done that successfully? And it's so key to have that picture of the difference you come to make, because leadership is not a means, it's not an end in itself. Like you're a leader and that's it. You don't arrive at leadership. Leadership is a vehicle, it's a means to a specific end. Anybody who understands the stewardship that comes with leadership would run away from leadership, except that it tugs at your heart and it's relentless and keeps coming after you. I mean, if you truly understand leadership, you understand you're laying your life down so that others may cross. You understand that you're no longer your own. Like there is no Modesta when I'm just out with my friends, and Modesta at church, and Modesta with Modesta the leader now is Modesta the leader in every context. Except the one time when my husband is like, okay, you're a leader out there, so let's bringing me like, yeah, so he put me in this one time. He only needed to do it once. I got the memo and I filed I found my position. But jokes aside, you must have a picture of what that will look like. Just a picture of the end game after I've done my leadership successfully. Then you come back to the present and you ask yourself, so what specifically do I feel wired to do to make that a reality? You see, even if you're in the similar area to many other people, we're wired differently. Only you can do what you do like you do. And that is your advantage. That's such a great thing. So you're going to ask, how do I feel particularly wired to do that for them? Because if it's about a vision of something being transformed, right? That your leadership transformed, it means anybody else could have transformed and brought that vision, but why you then? How do you feel like, I feel it's especially suited. And I guess the people who recently went for elections, I feel like I can do this. Why? What about you? You need to note that down. What about you? It could be your mindset. It could be attitudes you have. It could be skill sets you have. It could be a knowledge you have. It could be experience in a similar area that you then think you can transfer to helping others. Note down those things about how you are to helping you get there. And also note down your particular circumstances. You know, people say, think big, but start small. 100 million African leaders, right? I'm not speaking to 100 million African leaders right now, although I just found a hack, and we'll talk about the hack another time, not today. But I found a hack on how to reach them much sooner than having to take my entire lifetime, thank goodness. So it's important for you to have the bigger picture and then ask yourself, so what do I have in my hand? Otherwise you won't start, otherwise it could overwhelm you. How am I particularly built for this, that I feel like I have something and there is a way that I approach things that would be good, but also, sorry, I'm just moving Instagram.
Yes. We had a sort of a slow internet on Instagram. I did not hear a line or two.
My battery is going. Can you help me with battery, please?
On Instagram?
Yeah.
So should we just, what do we do now? Should we just focus on Zoom right now?
That's fine, I'm just getting my phone charged.
Okay.
And then, you know, so you're aware of where you want to go, what you want to do for whom, why you want to do it, why, you know, how you think you're particularly wired to be able to do this. Like, what is it about you that would, you know, that makes you the leader to do that? And also, where are you right now? What are you starting with towards that vision? But what do you need to get there, right? So you have the end picture in mind, you have where you're starting off in, you know, in mind, and then you're also going to ask yourself, what does it take? I need that line. What does it take for me to get there? Then you start aligning that. So whether you need to grow in skills, whether you need to grow in networks, whether you need to grow in funds, you know, to be able to get you there, it is important to start with who you are, where you want to go, for whom, what do you have to start with, and what will the roadmap look like to get there? And then now get this is the most important of it all, right?
Yeah.
Not just what is the vision, what do I want to do for whom, why them, which is like the mission, right? And how I'm going to go about it. And I love missions. Missions are not just about who you're serving, it's also about who you are and who you're becoming. I don't just serve you out of, you know, the air. I serve you out of me. I can only serve you according to my skill sets and my capabilities. I can only serve you according to the resources I currently have right now. Even if that will change and grow, I'm serving you from where I am right now. But then get this is the most important thing. Build a personal brand that will sustain you as you're fulfilling your leadership vision. That means you want to, because this is the thing about leadership. Leadership is about influence. You're getting people with independent minds to choose to see you as a trusted go-to authority, trusted leader to get them to a certain place. They have to choose by themselves. You can't force this on them. You can't bribe them. Well, some people can bribe, but anyway, on them. So because leadership is about influence, personal branding is being intentional. You are being intentional. I am being intentional about creating a certain image and impression I want them to have of me. The people I'm called to, the people I want to serve, the people I want to lead to that beautiful end, they must choose by themselves to trust me to do that. They must choose by themselves that I am credible and I am personable enough. They must relate to me as a person and personality, and find me to have the authority in qualifications, character, you know, etc., for them to allow me to influence them. So you're going to spend from thinking through your vision, planning your mission, and how you're going to walk through, starting where you are with what you have, you're going to consistently in between build a personal brand that tells those people that I am the person for this. That doesn't mean that you're living a life to create a certain image. You're not hiring a person to do a PR stint on you, etc. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It just means you, in every area of your life, you are consistently living out the message, I'm the person you guys want. I'm the person you guys need to come to if you want to get. There's a place I can help you get, and you would want to come to me for that. And so that means those non-negotiable values that you live by. It means how you deliver when you're, you know, at work. It means how you relate with people. It means how you are at home. Some people are like, look, we know what you're like with your family. How on earth are you going to say you're going to come to lead us here? Everything about you must speak, which is why I said, if you're really about that thing for long enough, the doors will open. Everything about you, your personal brand, must give you the credibility, must give you the authority for people to allow you to influence them towards that end. It is your intention and it is your efforts of so position yourself, but it is their opinion. It is them who choose to have that image or impression of you or not. And so right. I think the going ahead to ask yourself, you know, starting with purpose, right? Who am I? Why am I here? When you find out that I'm here to do this, I'm here to engage with this, I'm here to help people cross from here to there, I'm here to transform industry, I'm here, you know, to break this and change this in my context, right? Then going to the future, so what would it look like? Okay, you want to lead, and I think this is a good question for anybody vying for anything. So what exactly do you want to do? Not just the duties. No one's asking about job descriptions here. We're asking about the outcomes. We're asking about impact. How will this place be any different because you existed? Show people that this is what I'm looking, but make it very clear to yourself first. That vision needs to be clear to self. The difference you're there to bring, and then you come back. So how do I start? It's a big vision. How do I start? Given who I am, how am I particularly, you know, wired to do this? But what are my resources? What's my time availability? You know, what can I start with now? What's my network? What's my access right now? Start. And then consistently, so conduct yourself and carry yourself and deliver such that over time, it is sending a message. This person has been in it when there was somebody listening, when somebody was not, when there was somebody paying, when they were doing it for free. They were doing it, you know, walking in the sun. They were doing it when they're riding a car. They were doing it. This is a person for us. I think that to start off with really helps you with your leadership vision, and it keeps you going. It's not the position, it's the journey of leadership and the building of character and the fortitude of character that'll keep you going. And there will be challenges, there will be milestones, there can be goals you set for yourself. For instance, when you ask, what would it take? You're probably going to find out, you know, you may want to go to school, you may want to network differently, you may want to build up funds, so all of these things will keep you moving, but it's so important to have a big picture, to come back to look at where to start, and to be able to consistently be the image of the leader people will be looking for in that area to get them to that expected end. Ooh, long answer, but I pray.
Yeah, I think one of your books should be around this, I suppose. I don't know if you haven't written about it, but maybe this is an area to write about.
coming, but I was going to do it when I'm 6 years old. Maybe I don't know.
All right. So, Modesta, I don't know how much time you can give us, but this is a conversation worth taking over. I mean, like prolonging a little bit. I'm trying to see where it can avoid the distraction, or rather I've failed to figure this out. For real, this has been a trouble. So if I can borrow maybe 5 or so minutes of your time, I wanted you to somehow cover the issue of people, all right? You know your purpose, which is amazing. You absolutely know your vision and where it is that you want to go and the people you want to take. But then there comes the issue of people. You have people that are very diverse in character, in understanding. How then do you sort of unify your people, making sure, oh, there's some eco, very serious eco. I don't know how to handle this. This has been completely, absolutely difficult for me tonight. Considering I'm all by myself tonight, which is weird. So how do you unify? How do you mobilize and sort of making sure that everyone is aligned to the long-term vision? And I suppose that will be my last question for tonight.
Okay. So
did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. I'm with you. We're not audible? Oh.
We are.
Somebody says, can't hear anymore. Oh.
From Zoom? Is that from Zoom?
But this is my Instagram. I wonder, because I just started charging my phone, but because it's gone now. Oh, it's gone now. Okay, we're good. All right. So here's the thing. People! Ha! That's another book, James. People is a whole book and a TV series. But anyway, so this is it. It starts with self, right? Many a times as leaders, we'll point to who's not doing what's not happening. But I think it was Dave Ramsey, and you know Dave Ramsey on finance, and he was just talking about if they're not delivering or something's not going right, or maybe somebody has an attitude and it's affected people, that's on you as a leader. And when he was initially told that, he took offense, because Dave Ramsey's like, he's like, straight shooter, no, just, so he really gave it to his team, but he was told it's all a reflection of you. And you're thinking, how is that a reflection of me? This person has an attitude, this person is, is inept, this person chooses to do things slowly, this person doesn't show up. How can that be on me? And when I found out, which I didn't like to find out, that how my people are, whether it's people I work in an organization or even the people that I engage with externally, how they are is really a reflection of me and my leadership. I was not impressed, because I was doing my uttermost, little Miss Perfectionist, to have it all together. And I failed most of the times. But this is what I've learned. First of all, you need to be clear as a leader who you are, why you're here, where you're going, and on what terms. You heard me talk about, okay, so we've spoken about, leadership of self, understanding self, talking about vision. I also really specified non-negotiable values.
Sorry, we were going to be disconnected at 0 minute on Instagram, so I've had to end the video so that we could repost it on Instagram, and then later on download it from there. So you can carry on for the people on Instagram. So for the people on Zoom.
When that became clear to me, I need to be clear about who I am. I need to be clear about why I'm here and where I'm going and on what terms, which means principles, standards, what kind of organizations do I want to work with, what kind of people do I want to partner with, even to what kind of income I want to earn. Just, I need to be clear about me first before looking to engage with other people. And so both internally, people you're working with, I'll say it, that's internal stakeholders, and externally, the people you seek to influence in your service, You need to, first of all, be clear about who you are and what you're putting out. And then now, if it's internal and you are recruiting, and I guess this applies for both internal and external, whoever you want to partner with you, that's recruitment. Then you need to be clear that you share values. You need to be clear you share vision. You need to be clear that you share culture. And I don't mean that we don't have diversity, but in terms of culture, I could even say, maybe what I mean is work ethic, right? We're going somewhere and this is the rate at which we're going there. These are things that we all want, because this is the thing. Just because you're the person on the leadership seat doesn't mean you're the only person who has a vision. You're the only person on your team that has a place to go and wants to move things. They too have their own. You are getting grown men and women, or even youth, just any person. Look, I've got a 6 and 7 year old, I'm learning. They already have their plans for the day, for the week, for the month, for the year. They have plans. They may not always articulate them, but they do. And so you need to understand, if you do not get very clear about where you're going and what type of people you want to align with, and you get along with just any old person simply because they're qualified. Qualifications, I'm sorry, my gosh, I hope you can rectify this, James. Qualifications is not the most important. I'm talking about CVs, and I'm talking about, certificates. I'm talking about even experience at work. That's not the most important assessment of a person's capability. That's not going to be the most important thing for me on where I want them, how I want them to align with me and to take this vision forward. So you need to be very clear about people's principles, their standards, and even their work ethic. I mean, even work culture. Because sometimes people are nice, but they're slow. You can't take slow if you want to move fast.
True.
Sometimes, people are qualified, but they're sloppy. You can't take that amount of error, so you need to be clear first. So the hiring, the recruitment, whether recruiting and you're going to pay somebody to be on board in the team, or recruiting in that I want people to partner with me in a certain thing, you need to make sure that we were in our individual lives separately headed in the same direction anyway. One of the things that I love working with people with great visions and great ambition, even on my team, never perturbs me. I look for it. I thrive when people are going so far because they will fulfill their own purpose and visions working with me.
Right.
They were going to go there anyway, whether they met me or not. But now they see I have shared this vision, and they are ready to lay down some of their things and or to align them with what we're doing because they see it as greater, or maybe getting them there faster, or giving them the platforms and the profiles. Please expect that your people have an intrinsic, selfish reason for aligning with you. And it's not personal, and it's not necessarily malicious.
Okay.
They're going someplace, and they just thought riding with you might get them faster, get them higher, get them soon, whatever. So getting the right people in place is important. Also, getting people who can think faster, move faster, do things you can't do. I think that's key. I read something yesterday that says, if you get yes people, it's basically talking to yourself. I don't want to talk to myself. I know all I know, which is why I need to have people who know what I don't know, with capabilities I don't have. So making sure you're clear about who you're aligning with is really important. But the other thing is, it's not just the vision that's key. It's also the terms of engagement that are also important. Getting a good person, coming into a place that is disorganized, coming to a place that has no systems, you're setting them up to be a bad person. And I don't mean stealing, and that came with them before they showed up. Like, that was them before. They didn't pick that up here, because a good person who has integrity, they're not going to change because they're enticed. That came before. But I'm just talking about setting up the structure and the systems, and even being very prescriptive. This is where the job descriptions come in, for instance, about what it is this thing is about, how it's going to be run. People need to know the terms of engagement, and both sides need to manage expectations.
Right.
There are times we don't communicate that, and we assume our colleagues, we assume our partners, we assume, the people that we're doing life with or we're looking to influence. No, we shouldn't assume. They should be very clear about what they're signing up for and on what terms they will deliver. So that when something shows up, you don't go, is this to you, you see this as this is you having done the work. They're like, yeah, that's my best. You don't want people's best. You want people to deliver. It's not about doing your best. Your best may not be enough. My best is not enough most of the time. I'm not meant to do my best. I'm meant to deliver. So help people deliver by being very prescriptive. Write down what it is they're meant to do. Train, mentor, coach, walk along with them, and build systems that make it smooth and seamless for them to be able to deliver. Whether it's automating, whether that is things that are done remotely, whatever it is that people can deliver. Many a times we, as leaders, like, it's just people. Get the right people. If you thought you got the wrong people, the right people, and they ended up being wrong, remove them. Like, I have no issues, as people know, I have no issues saying parting ways. No matter how great you are, does not matter. You're not going to come along, whether it's on attitude or whether it's on performance. Put in systems, help people, give them a fighting chance to see this vision through, right? Mm-hmm. So putting in systems helps even the most honest, the most competent person to be able to do it sustainably. Otherwise, you are still banking on a human. What happens to us, it supersedes this thing. If you're in a business or you're in a leadership context where somebody locks up a drawer, goes for lunch, and the whole business is held up and they're stuck in traffic and you all have to close business that day, then that you're setting yourself up for failure. And many a times people get frustrated and think their cause as a leader is not valid, or the people who work with them think, okay, this is a nice little setup, but it's not going very far because of systems. The vision is beautiful. Everybody has signed up on it, but not having systems and structures, that can sabotage it. But then also, what are the rewards? It's good to reward. It doesn't always have to be financial. What are the rewards for delivering? What does it look like to deliver to standard, to expectations? Right. What are the rewards? And also, what are the consequences of not doing that? And to consistently enforce both the rewards and the consequences of not doing that. So when you get past the vision and everybody's come alongside that, you see that leadership has a lot of management built into it. But once the management aspect, the management structures are put in place, you're coaching, you're mentoring, you're empowering, you are trusting your people. James, a lot of people I've worked with, they're doing great things. There isn't a single person I've worked with, personally that ended up being a little minion they're huge, they're all huge.
True.
Because I want to equip them, I get to a place where I trust them. They can make decisions. Right. I wasn't there, I wasn't privy to it, and I can trust them make the right decision. We make a mistake, okay, we made a mistake, learn, move on the next time. And leaders sometimes forget this. You're not the show. You just happen to have that vision. Share that
Modesta,
vision.
Sorry for jumping in, Modesta, but it looks like the whole idea of delegation is one of the most difficult things to do for most leaders. I'm currently coaching entrepreneurs who earn, who have turnovers of about $1 billion shillings per annum, about 6 of them. Mm-hmm. And this turns out to be the hardest thing for them. Yeah. Like leaving people to do what they have to do with minimum supervision or with them being absent. Mm-hmm. It seems like a miracle. And so one of the exercises that we always do, I say, make sure you pick one task this week and then delegate it fully. Mm. I mean, the first 2 weeks, nobody did nothing, and when they came back, and so there's a lot of fear around that. There's a lot of apprehension. There's a lot of, I don't know, maybe this should be called delegation phobia, if you will. I don't know if there's such a term. And I think this is one of the things that I would really ask you to probably shed some light going forward. Since you and I have got you are one of the speakers in the upcoming online conference, and I'm so glad you accepted this invitation. And I know I'm breaking the news for the very first time. For those of you who are here and the people on Instagram have missed out on this, from the 8th to the 12th of August, we're going to have an online leadership conference, and Modesta is going to be one of the speakers on that conference. And I'm so thankful, Modesta, one more time for accepting this invitation. And I think one of the areas that you could talk about, apart from personal branding, like building a personal brand as a leader, maybe you could talk about the issue of people there, like delegation. How does a leader become a delegator or a great delegating personality or type, if you will? So maybe Modesta, you can go on and leave us with your closing remarks, if you will, or if there's anything that you particularly feel strongly to share, because I don't want to steal any more of your time. You gave me a warning not to go beyond 7.
Let's do the delegation. Because I had my mentorship. I have a women's career and business mentorship program once a month. So that's what I had the last Wednesday.
Okay.
Delegation, there isn't so there could be a phobia, right? There's a fear of what if they don't do it right. And I remember one of my colleagues had that issue with one of our colleagues, right? Another person, that that person felt like, you're breathing down my neck, let me be. And this person's like, no, I will not let you be. You're going to take this thing down, and it's going to take both of us down. So the two of them bring this issue to me. Now, the thing is about delegation, right?
Yeah.
You don't delegate to somebody you don't feel like has the competence, right?
Yeah.
The speed, and the standard of delivery. Like, you want to make sure that they can do it. Of course, ethics goes without saying. So they have, they've got the ethical moral code. They've got competence. So I know that they can do it. Not only can they do it, they can do it at the speed and the standard in which I need. That is why a lot of leaders are like, look, this business cannot afford you to come and experiment on it. I need somebody who can deliver. Now, where are you going to get that person? You're basically saying you want you. But you are one person with 24 hours and many other roles and responsibilities. So what delegation requires is serious investment in another person or several other people.
You can say that again, Modesta.
I don't have the time.
Can be healed. Serious investment in the other person. So what do you do if this person keeps making a whole lot of mistakes? I mean, like every week, they mess up once or twice or even 3 times, even after investing in them for a while. How do you handle that?
All right, James. Competence, speed, level of standard. If they don't have this, and the competence, do you know what competence is? There are levels that you can go up, right?
Correct.
If a person shows potential to do something starting with 60% as well as you would, that person is worth investing in.
Okay.
But now,
so then there could be issues with competence if you're coming back to the same issues over and over again, trying to correct this person, like pretty much on the same issues. Then there could be the issues of competence there.
It could well be, but it could be a number of things. The other thing is either you're not clear, or the system you're in, the environment you're in, just does not allow them to be able to deliver. What if things depend on many other people, and you as a leader have created a culture where this, seniority matters, and this person, may not get the support? Or electricity goes off and they have to travel, I don't know how many kilometers on public transport to go do the thing, then bring it back to work. So you need to look at a little bit more than just a person and call it, and write them off. Which is why hiring was very important. Skill sets, like people thinking the business, people thinking like the owner, people being in a culture that they feel safe to take risks, so you find that there are times that you didn't create the system, the structure, you weren't very clear about expectations. It's just do this, and you come back and you say, you haven't done it the way I wanted it. how exactly do you want it? And people are sometimes fearful of asking the leader. Let's get crystal clear. I really would like to ask people, are you 100% certain you left no question in their mind what it is you're looking for and at what standard and how to deliver? And you have the same interpretation of what that is. If you can say that as a leader, I'm telling you, Modesta, I am 100% clear. It's written, there's been training, we mentor, we coach, we whatever, then you're speaking with the wrong person. That's not going to happen. And you need to say, okay, I made a mistake.
So there's competence in the person, and then there's clarity that is actually a function of you being the leader, and then there's the environment or the enabling system. If one of these three things are at fault or is at fault, then you are in trouble, because it's not going to happen pretty much. If competence is not to the level expected, if you are not as clear as sky's blue, and this person, the environment doesn't enable them to function fully, then you can't get the results you want. Is that, I suppose that's what you're saying? I
would say that, and that environment includes other people, right? And by the way, it's not just the leader's clarity. Sometimes it's the leader's competence to even lead, to articulate. It's so easy to see other people. I had a period where I had to look at myself as a leader, and I don't even know how anybody let me into leadership. I guess after a while, after employment, I was in business, so I guess I became a leader. But I would not have put me in leadership for a very long time.
So in other words, you wouldn't follow you if you had a choice yourself?
Now I would, like. At
that particular time, that is.
No, I had the vision, and I mean, no, I still would have, but I just would have managed my
to the standard that you really, have come up to right now. I mean, you hadn't developed yourself in a few dimensions, I suppose.
I was lopsided as a leader, and that matters when you're talking about delegation or anything else you're going to do with other people. You focus on the one thing more, and you're inept in another area, and that is going to reflect in how your organization runs. That's going to reflect in how your people, work as well. So it's so easy to point at what's not happening. And I understand we staff our weaknesses. I understand we get people who compliment us. They have strengths in areas we're weak at. But when we are in leadership, to be completely weak in an area that is core to business, and you think you're going to leave somebody external who doesn't carry that vision to carry that for you, that's really irresponsible. So how are you going to delegate to people something you don't know yourself? Absolutely. So that's why you can, this brushstroke, go do for me and come back, and it's not good enough. You don't even know what good enough is yourself. You wouldn't even be able to do this yourself. So there are layers there, but the most important thing is you have clarity on who you are, where you're going, on what standards. You hire, you engage, you partner with those that share similar, a similar path and similar interests. And then you prescribe everything, script it down, and create a system that is predictable, that everybody can plug and play. It doesn't depend on human beings, not you, not them, not anybody else. Every system needs to be able to continue in perpetuity without you, the leader, without them. Why? Because you poured yourself out on clarifying what it is, what this vision is, and how you're going to see it, you bring it to fruition. They bought into that, and you got the right people who bought into that. And then you made everything so easy to follow, so predictable, like engineers and their checklists and their manuals, that anybody that comes in can plug and play. But if anything of that is missing, you're doing your people a disservice. People are going to get frustrated and walk away, or you're going to call people inept, incompetent, when that wasn't the issue.
Oh, man, this is nerve-wracking. This is quite invigorating. This is incredible. I wish we had another complete hour just to navigate through that alone, because it reminds me of so many dimensions of leading my own, my own people. And I think a lot of of investment is needed here when it comes to leading people and delegating and empowering people and making sure that people are equipped well to do what it is that they're supposed to be doing. So, Modesta, I honestly want to thank you very, very deeply. It's been phenomenal tonight. Thank you for your contribution. And I wonder if we could give maybe the audience one or two people in here who might have a question. I don't want to be selfish. These people have left whatever they were doing to be with us in this online chat group. Is there anyone here with a quick question that Modesta can answer before we wind this up? If you have a question, maybe raise your hand and we'll let you ask. I know I'm catching everyone by surprise because nobody prepared for any question. So thank you very much, Modesta. So Modesta is going to be with us on one of the nights, beginning the 8th to the 12th of August this year, where we're going to be talking about leadership after COVID. Leadership during and after COVID, because it depends on where you are. My friends in Botswana and Kenya are pretty much still in lockdown because for them, COVID is still real. But in here, I mean, everybody's okay. Nobody's wearing any masks. People get on buses. People go to karaoke. Life has sprung back to normal like 150%, So Modesta is going to be one of the speakers during that time. Other speakers will be there's a gentleman from Ghana who was here years ago. He used to be Chief Technical Director for Tigo. His name is Obafemi Banigde. He has accepted the invitation to be one of the speakers. And he's going to talk about technology and innovation in leadership. And then there's going to be a gentleman from Uongozi Institute. He's the Director of Executive Education, Mr. Singo. We'll have a topic there. And then Patrick Foyer, HR Director for ABSA. And then there's a colleague of mine from Kenya. He heads our firm in Kenya, Breakthrough Performance, Radido Doso. He's an author of a book called Why Capacity Matters. And he's going to talk about how to develop our own capacities that would ready us for crisis or times of crisis. So I'll be the host pretty much. And I can't wait to see what will happen. I think Modesta will come even, more prepared with a whole lot more for us. Isn't that Modesta? Isn't that right?
I will prepare. Today I got caught off guard. I'll prepare.
No, it's okay. It's been phenomenal. In fact, I was going to ask you for us to redo this if we could, maybe before the conference. So you and I are going to talk about that offline. And I hope you won't get tired of me asking. Because it says in the Bible, ask and shall be given. So
it shall not always be given to you, but you can ask.
So Modesta, thank you so much. How do people maybe get to find you or talk to you or want you to be their mentors? I don't know. How does that work? Is there any place they can go, like a website, social site?
I am on modesta.africa. That's my website. And my email is modesta@modesta.africa.
Modesta.africa, the easiest website to say.
It is. And I'm Modesta.africa on almost every other platform as well, Instagram and LinkedIn is my full name. But yeah, I have the same pictures. So it's that way it's easy to see me everywhere. James, please accept my LinkedIn invitation, my LinkedIn friend invitation.
Okay. So we're going to have this uploaded on YouTube, I suppose. And then on Instagram, we're going to show the links to the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, James Mwang'amba. And it's also part of this is on Instagram already. And and we're going to share this with anybody who would like to basically get it via any other means. So Modesta, thank you very much. From the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate your time and contribution. Looking forward to working more with you. And I also want to thank each and every person that has been with us tonight. If technology let us down from time to time, we are humans. We're only humans trying to get good at technology or better at technology. I hope we get to be forgiven. So thank you guys. For now, that's all from me, and much love, and looking forward to connecting more and more. Asante sana.
Hi, Elena. Maini, Shabani, Edward, Winnie, Galaxy. Oh, someone's phone.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful. Thank you.
For the presentation, it was wonderful. I hope for myself, I've enjoyed a lot. Thanks, James.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. We feel better now that we can hear voices of humans. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye for now. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, James. Bless you. Thank you.
Bye. All right.
Bye.